Meridian was one of those restaurants without prices on the menu. Crystal chandeliers, skyline views, a reservation I'd made 3 months ago. The ring box felt heavy in my pocket. Jessica laughed at her phone, candlelight catching her blonde hair. 2 years together. Expensive dinners, spontaneous trips, her always postponing meeting parents, changing the subject when I talked about us. I wanted to talk about us, I said. She cut into her fish. What about us? I pulled out the box. Her smile froze. For a split second, I saw it. Not happiness, not surprise. Panic. Then she laughed. Loud, bright. The kind of laugh that made other tables turn and stare. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Oh my God, she said, still laughing. Jake, sweetie, no. The box was still closed in my palm. I hadn't even opened it yet. You're not even going to look at it? She reached across the table and patted my hand, the way you'd comfort a child who'd asked for something impossible. Babe, this is... Look, I care about you. You know I do. But we're having fun. That's what this is. That's what we agreed on. We never agreed on anything, I said. We've been together for 2 years, Jessica. Right. And it's been great. Really great. But... She picked up her wine glass, took a long sip. You're just for fun, Jake. You know that. Don't try to trap me with a ring. The words landed like individual stones, each one finding its mark. You're just for fun. I looked at the box in my hand. I'd spent 6 weeks finding the right ring. I'd talked to 3 different jewelers, studied cut and clarity and color until the terms felt like a second language. The diamond was 2 carats, princess cut, set in platinum because she'd once mentioned, offhand, barely paying attention, that gold looked cheap. I closed the box. You're right, I said. My mistake. I signaled to Gregory, who materialized instantly. Check, please. Jessica's smile faltered. Wait, what are you doing? Getting the check. I pulled out my wallet, extracted my credit card, and handed it to Gregory without looking at the total. I knew what it would be. Roughly $400 for 2 entrees we'd barely touched, a bottle of wine, and the privilege of learning exactly where I stood. Jake, come on, don't be like this. She reached for my hand, but I pulled it back. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I'm just being honest with you. Isn't that better than lying? Much better, I said. The words came out flat. Empty. Gregory returned with the check. I signed it, added a generous tip because none of this was his fault, and stood. Jessica stood too. So what, you're just leaving, in the middle of dinner? We're done here, I said. You made that pretty clear. I walked toward the exit. Behind me, I heard her chair scrape against the floor, heard her calling my name, but I didn't stop. The maitre d' held the door open, and I stepped out into the October night, the cool air hitting my face like a slap. My car was 3 blocks away in a parking garage. I'd wanted us to walk through the city lights after dinner, maybe stop for coffee, maybe find a quiet spot overlooking the water where I could ask her properly. All of that evaporated now, replaced by the simple mechanical need to put distance between myself and Meridian. Jake, wait! She'd followed me out. She was walking fast in her heels, her small clutch pressed against her side. I kept walking. Jake, seriously, stop! I stopped, turned around. She was 10 feet away, her breath visible in the cold air. You're being ridiculous, she said. I was just being honest with you. We've had something good. Why do you have to ruin it by trying to make it something it's not? What exactly have we had, Jessica? I heard my voice rising and forced it back down. Because I thought we had a relationship. I thought when you stayed over 4 nights a week, when we talked about moving in together, when you said you loved me, I thought that meant something. It does mean something. It means I enjoy spending time with you. But not enough to marry me. I don't want to marry anyone right now. She wrapped her arms around herself. I'm 28. I'm not ready to settle down. And honestly, Jake, even if I was... She trailed off. Even if you were... What? She looked away. You're a claims adjuster. You make decent money, but let's be real. You're not exactly setting the world on fire. My dad is a neurosurgeon. My brother runs his own hedge fund. Do you understand the world I come from? There it was. The thing she'd never said out loud, but I'd felt hovering over us like a storm cloud for 2 years. So I was what? A phase? Slumming it with the middle class? Don't make it sound like that. How should I make it sound? She stepped closer. Her perfume hit me, the same scent I'd woken up to dozens of times. We had fun. We still could. This doesn't have to end just because you got your feelings hurt. I almost laughed. Almost. Go home, Jessica. Jake, I mean it. We're done. Whatever this was, whatever you want to call it, it's over. I turned and walked away. This time she didn't follow. The next 3 weeks were a study in patterns I should have noticed earlier. I didn't call her. She called me twice that first weekend, both times late at night. I let them go to voicemail. The first message was apologetic. She'd overreacted, wanted to talk things through. The second was angry. I was being immature and throwing away something good over nothing. I deleted both without responding. At work, I threw myself into the cases piling up on my desk. Someone's roof had collapsed under snow weight, a warehouse fire in the industrial district, a fender bender that somehow involved 5 vehicles and a mailbox. I reviewed policies, calculated payouts, wrote reports. Numbers and clauses were easier than thinking about how thoroughly I'd misread 2 years of my life. My apartment felt different without her things scattered around. No expensive face creams in the bathroom, no designer shoes kicked off by the door, no half-empty wine bottles in the fridge, just my furniture, my books, my life as it had been before I'd met her at that conference. On Thursday of the second week, my coworker David knocked on my cubicle wall. "Lunch?" he asked. I nodded and saved my file. We went to the deli across the street, the one with the good pastrami and terrible coffee. "You look awful," David said, after we'd found a table by the window. "Thanks. Sarah asked me to check on you. She said you've been walking around like someone ran over your dog." Sarah was our office manager, a woman in her 50s who treated everyone under 40 like her personal children. "I'm fine," I said. "Right, and I'm the Pope." David took a bite of his sandwich. "What happened? You've been weird for weeks," I told him. "Not everything, just the broad strokes. The proposal, the rejection, the revelation that I'd been completely wrong about what we were to each other." David whistled low. "That's rough, man. Really rough. I'll survive." "You dodged something, though. You know that, right?" He leaned forward. "Woman like that, who's with you for 2 years and never introduces you to her family, never posts about you, treats you like a secret, that's not someone who's going to suddenly change after a wedding. That's someone who's keeping her options open." I'd thought the same thing, late at night when I couldn't stop my brain from picking over every interaction, every conversation, looking for the signs I'd missed. "She said I was just for fun," I said, "that I shouldn't try to trap her with a ring. Then you closed the box and walked out. Good. That's exactly what you should have done. Doesn't feel good. It will. Give it time." I wanted to believe him. The friend request started in week 4. First it was mutual friends from that marketing conference where we'd met, then colleagues from her firm, then people I'd never heard of but who apparently wanted to connect with me on every platform I had. I ignored them all, then the photos started appearing. Jessica had never posted about us. In 2 years, I appeared in exactly 0 photos on her social media. But now, suddenly, her accounts were filling up with pictures. Jessica at trendy restaurants, Jessica at gallery openings, Jessica at a charity gala wearing a dress that probably cost what I made in a month, her arm around a man in a tuxedo who looked like he'd stepped out of a cologne advertisement. I wasn't stalking her accounts. Our mutual friend Amanda kept sending screenshots to my phone with messages like, "Can you believe this?" and "She's already moved on?" I asked Amanda to stop. She didn't. The man in the tuxedo appeared again and again. In one photo, they were toasting with champagne. In another, he had his hand on the small of her back. The captions were vague. "Great evening with great company and feeling blessed." But the message was clear. David saw me looking at one of the screenshots during lunch. "Stop," he said. "I'm not—" "Yes, you are. Stop torturing yourself. She's doing this on purpose. She wants you to see it." "Why would she want that?" "Because you're the one who walked away. She's not used to that. So now she's showing you what you're missing, trying to make you jealous enough to come crawling back." I set my phone down. "It's working. Only if you let it." I tried to take his advice. I really did. But every new photo was like a small knife, precise and sharp, reminding me of every time she'd made excuses about posting us online, about how she was private and didn't want to broadcast her personal life. Apparently that policy had expired. 2 months after Meridian, I was at my gym when I saw them. I joined this gym specifically because it was nowhere near Jessica's usual haunts. She belonged to an exclusive place downtown with personal trainers and juice bars and towel service. This was a no-frills chain with adequate equipment and fluorescent lights that hummed. But there she was, on the treadmill 3 machines down from mine, wearing designer workout clothes that probably cost more than my monthly membership. And next to her, keeping pace, was the tuxedo man from the photos. I almost left. My hand was on my water bottle, ready to pack it in and walk out. But something stopped me. Maybe pride, maybe stubbornness, maybe just the knowledge that I'd been here first, and I was tired of reshaping my life around her absence. I kept running. She saw me after 10 minutes. I watched her reflection in the mirror wall do a double take. She said something to Tuxedo Man, who glanced over. He had the kind of face that had never been hit, never seen real trouble. Good jawline, perfect teeth. The type of guy who called his lawyer before he called his insurance company. They ran for another 5 minutes, then got off their machines. I thought they were leaving, but instead they moved to the wait area, right in my line of sight. Jessica was staring at me. I could feel it even when I wasn't looking directly at her. Tuxedo Man kept glancing between us, clearly aware that something was happening but not sure what. I finished my run, wiped down the machine, and headed to the locker room. I was pulling on my jacket when Tuxedo Man walked in. "Hey," he said. "You're Jake, right?" I looked at him. "Do we know each other?" "Not exactly. I'm Trevor Chen. I know who you are." He had the grace to look uncomfortable. "Look, I just wanted to say, Jessica told me about what happened, with the proposal, and I wanted you to know that she and we are, but we're just, I don't care," I said. "Right, of course, I just thought, you thought wrong." I closed my locker. "Have a nice life, Trevor." I walked past him. Behind me, I heard him say something else, but I was already pushing through the door. Jessica was waiting outside the locker room. "Jake, move. I need to talk to you." "No, you don't." I stepped around her, but she moved with me, blocking my path. 5 minutes, please." "We don't have anything to talk about, Jessica." "That's not true. She glanced back toward the gym floor. Trevor was emerging from the locker room, looking lost. "I made a mistake. At the restaurant. The things I said, the way I reacted. I was scared, and I lashed out, and I hurt you. But I've had time to think about everything, and I realized that what we had was real. It was special." "Was it?" I kept my voice level. "Because from where I'm standing, it looked like I was exactly what you said I was. Something fun while you figured out what you actually wanted." "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" I gestured toward Trevor, who was hovering awkwardly near the water fountain. "How long did it take you to start posting photos with him? A week? 2? He's just a friend." "Right. A friend whose hand is on your back in every photo. A friend you bring to your exclusive events. A friend who looks at you the way I used to." Her face flushed. "You're being cruel." "I'm being honest. Like you were at Meridian." Trevor was walking toward us now, his expression shifting from confused to concerned. I didn't want to be here when he arrived, didn't want to be part of whatever triangle Jessica was trying to construct. I walked away. Neither of them followed this time. The next 3 months passed in a kind of blur. Winter settled over the city, turning everything gray and cold. I went to work, went to the gym, went home. I started reading again, something I'd stopped doing while I was with Jessica because she'd always wanted to go out, to be seen, to fill every evening with activity and noise. I'd been wrong about some things. David had been right about others. The hurt didn't disappear, but it became manageable. A dull ache instead of a sharp wound. Jessica kept calling. At first once a week, then more frequently. I never answered. She left messages that progressed through stages, angry, then pleading, then matter of fact. She missed me. She'd made a mistake. Trevor wasn't working out. We should at least talk. I deleted them all. Then one Wednesday in February, I got a call from Amanda. "Jake, it's me. Don't hang up." I almost did, but Amanda had been my friend before she'd been Jessica's. We'd met in college, lost touch, reconnected at that same conference where I'd met Jessica. "What is it?" "I need to tell you something about Jessica." "I don't want to hear it." "Just listen, please." She took a breath. "She broke up with Trevor, or he broke up with her. I'm not sure which, but she's been asking about you constantly. Where you are, what you're doing, if you're seeing anyone." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because she's planning something. I don't know what, but she's got that look she gets when she's determined to get her way. And I thought you should know, so you're not blindsided." "Thanks for the warning," I said, and hung up. I thought about blocking Jessica's number, blocking her on everything, but some stubborn part of me wanted her to know I was ignoring her actively, not just passively. Wanted her to feel the silence the way I'd felt her rejection. The confrontation came on a Friday night in March. I'd gone to O'Malley's, a bar near my apartment that served decent wings and had a pool table that wasn't too warped. David was there with some guys from the office, and I'd let myself be talked into a few rounds of darts. I was at the bar ordering another beer when I felt a hand on my arm. Jessica. She looked different, thinner. Her hair was shorter, styled differently. She wore jeans and a sweater instead of her usual designer armor, and her face was free of the elaborate makeup she typically wore. "Please don't walk away," she said. "What are you doing here?" "Amanda told me you come here sometimes." "So you're stalking me now." "I'm trying to talk to you. You won't answer my calls. You won't respond to my messages. What else am I supposed to do?" The bartender set down my beer. I paid him and turned to face her fully. Behind us, I could hear David and the others laughing at something, the normal sounds of a normal Friday night. "You're supposed to leave me alone," I said. "That's what you're supposed to do." "I can't. I've tried. Jake, I was wrong. About everything. I was wrong at that restaurant. I was wrong after. I was wrong about what I wanted. And I need you to know that." "Okay, now I know. We're done here." "No, we're not." Her voice rose, drawing looks from nearby tables. She lowered it again. "I love you. I know I never said it enough, or maybe I said it wrong, but I do. I love you, and I want us to try again." "That's not happening." "Why? Because I hurt your pride? Because I made one mistake?" "Because you showed me who you really are," I said. "You didn't make a mistake at Meridian. You told me the truth, and now you're upset because I actually listened." "That wasn't the truth. I was scared. I was pushing you away because I was scared of how much I actually felt for you." "That's a nice story, but I don't believe it." Her eyes were shining now. Actual tears, not the calculated kind she could turn on when she wanted something. "What do I have to do? Tell me what I have to do to fix this." "There's nothing to fix. You wanted fun. We had fun. Now it's over." "I'll do anything. I'll introduce you to my parents. I'll move in with you. She reached into her purse and pulled out a small box. For a second, I thought it was the ring, the one I'd tried to give her. But it was different. Velvet, yes, but burgundy instead of navy. She dropped to one knee right there, in the middle of O'Malley's, on the sticky floor between the bar and the dartboards. "Jessica? Jake Cooper, will you marry me?" The bar went quiet. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. David's voice cut through the silence. "Holy..." "Get up," I said. "Not until you answer me." "Get up, Jessica. You're embarrassing yourself." "I don't care. I don't care who sees. I love you and I want to marry you and I need you to give me another chance." She opened the box. Inside was a man's wedding band, simple platinum, nothing flashy, the kind of ring I might have picked for myself. I looked at her kneeling there, tears on her face, holding out a ring like it could undo 6 months of clarity. And I felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even pity, just a vast, empty nothing. "No," I said. "Jake," I said no. I picked up my beer. "We're done. We've been done. This doesn't change that. Please, I'm begging you. I made a mistake and I'm trying to fix it." "You can't fix it. That's what you don't understand. You didn't make a mistake. You showed me the truth, and I'm grateful for that. I really am. Because now I know exactly what you thought of me, what I was to you, and I'm never going to forget it." I walked back to the dartboard. Behind me, I heard Jessica scrambling to her feet, heard her calling my name, but I didn't turn around. David and the others were staring at me with expressions ranging from shock to admiration. "That was..." David started. "Don't," I said. "Let's just play." I heard the bar door slam. Through the window, I saw Jessica standing on the sidewalk, still holding the ring box, her shoulders shaking. I threw my first dart. Bullseye. She didn't give up. Over the next 2 weeks, gifts started appearing. At my apartment door, at my office, at the gym. Expensive gifts, designer watches, first edition books, tickets to shows I'd mentioned wanting to see months ago. I returned every single one. Then came the letters. Handwritten, pages long, arriving almost daily. She talked about the future she imagined for us. The house we'd buy, the trips we'd take, the life we'd build. She apologized repeatedly, dissecting every moment of our relationship, finding new ways to say she'd been wrong and I'd been right. I read the first 3, then I stopped opening them. She showed up at my apartment twice. The first time, I refused to answer the door. The second time, I opened it long enough to say, "If you come here again, I'll call the police," and closed it in her face. The worst part was that I could see it working on some people. My mother called me after running into Jessica at the grocery store. "She seems really sorry, honey," Mom said, "and people do make mistakes. Sometimes we have to forgive them." "She didn't make a mistake, Mom. She told me exactly what she thought of me. I'm not interested in being with someone who thinks I'm not good enough." But if she's changed her mind, then that's her problem, not mine. Even David started to waver after a few weeks. I mean, she did propose to you, he said over lunch. In public. That takes guts. It takes desperation, I corrected. She's not sorry she hurt me. She's sorry I didn't stick around to keep being her backup plan. Maybe you're being too hard on her. I set down my sandwich. Would you take back someone who said you were just for fun? Who laughed when you tried to propose? Who only wanted you back after her new guy didn't work out? David was quiet for a moment. No, I wouldn't. Then stop suggesting I should. Things changed in April. Jessica's father called me at work. Dr. Mitchell Bennett, the neurosurgeon. I knew his name from Jessica's stories, from the impossible shadow he cast over her life, the man she'd spent 2 years trying to live up to. Mr. Cooper, he said. His voice was exactly what I'd expected. Cultured, authoritative, used to being obeyed. I apologize for calling you at work. I got your number from Jessica. What do you want? To meet with you, to discuss my daughter. There's nothing to discuss. I disagree, and I think you'll find this conversation worth your time. I'm at the Capitol Grill on 5th. Can you join me for lunch? No? Mr. Cooper, I'm not accustomed to being refused. I'm asking nicely. This is a conversation we need to have. Something in his tone triggered every stubborn bone in my body. Then send me an email. I'm busy. I hung up. He called back immediately. I didn't answer. An hour later, my office manager, Sarah, knocked on my cubicle wall. Jake, there's someone here to see you. A Dr. Bennett? Of course he'd shown up in person. I found him in our small reception area, looking completely out of place in his $1,000 suit. He was tall, silver-haired, with the kind of presence that made people instinctively straighten their spines. Mr. Cooper. He extended his hand. I didn't take it. You need to leave. I need 5 minutes of your time. If you don't want to do this here, we can go somewhere private. Sarah was watching us with undisguised curiosity. The last thing I needed was this conversation becoming office gossip. Fine. There's a coffee shop across the street. We walked over in silence. The place was mostly empty, just a few students with laptops and a businessman on his phone. I ordered black coffee. Dr. Bennett ordered an espresso, probably out of habit more than desire. We sat at a corner table. Jessica has been miserable for months, he said without preamble. That's not my problem. Perhaps not, but I think you should know that I was the one who told her to end things with you. That caught me off guard. What? 2 years ago, when she first started seeing you, she brought you up at a family dinner. Not by name, just mentioned she was seeing someone new. I asked what you did. When she said you were a claims adjuster, I told her not to get too serious. That she should enjoy herself but remember who she was, what kind of life she was meant to have. The coffee tasted like ash. Why are you telling me this? Because I was wrong. He took a sip of his espresso. I've spent the last 6 months watching my daughter fall apart over you. She quit her job. Did you know that? She was on track for a partnership. She threw it away because she couldn't focus, couldn't function. She's been... He paused, seeming to struggle with the words. She's been broken, Mr. Cooper, and I realize now that I broke her. She broke herself when she laughed at my proposal. She was repeating what I told her, what I'd spent 2 years reinforcing, that people like us don't marry people like you. That love isn't enough if the lifestyle doesn't match. I poisoned her against you because I thought I was protecting her. Instead, I ruined the best thing she'd found. I set down my coffee cup. Dr. Bennett, I appreciate you coming clean, I really do, but it doesn't change anything. Jessica made her choice. She made it clear that I wasn't good enough, and I'm not interested in being with someone who had to lose me to realize my value. She didn't have to lose you. She was pushed by you, and she let herself be pushed. She's an adult. She had 2 years to decide what mattered more, your approval or our relationship. She chose your approval, and now she's chosen you. Too late. He studied me for a long moment. You're angrier than I expected. I'm not angry. I'm done. There's a difference. Is there? He leaned forward. Because from where I'm sitting, you look like a man who's still very much affected by what happened. If you truly didn't care, you wouldn't be this defensive. I'm not defensive. I'm protective. Of myself. Something I should have been better at 2 years ago. My daughter loves you. Whatever mistakes she made, that's real. Your daughter loves the idea of me now that I'm gone. When I was there, I was just for fun. Remember? He winced. Those were my words, filtered through her fear. They became her words when she said them, when she laughed, when she made it clear that I was beneath her. So this is about revenge? About punishing her? This is about self-respect, I said, something I lost sight of while I was with her. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just done being treated like I'm lucky to be tolerated. I stood up. Mr. Cooper, we're finished here. Tell Jessica to stop calling, stop sending things, stop trying. Whatever we had is over, and it's not coming back. I walked out of the coffee shop. Through the window, I saw him sitting at the table, staring into his espresso cup like it might hold answers. May brought spring and new problems. Jessica's mother showed up at my gym. Then her brother cornered me at a work conference. Even Amanda tried one more time, showing up at O'Malley's and begging me to just hear her out. Each conversation was the same. Jessica was sorry. Jessica had changed. Jessica deserved another chance. Each time, my answer was the same, no. I'd started seeing someone new. Her name was Claire, and she was a third-grade teacher I'd met at a bookstore. She was nothing like Jessica, shorter, brunette, with laugh lines around her eyes and a wardrobe from Target. She thought my job was interesting. She introduced me to her friends after the second date. She posted a photo of us together after the third. No hesitation, no hidden agenda. When I told her about Jessica, she listened quietly and then said, "That sounds really painful. I'm sorry you went through that." No analysis, no judgment, just simple empathy. We weren't serious yet, but we could be, and that possibility felt better than anything I'd had with Jessica. The final confrontation came on a Saturday in June. I was at the farmer's market with Claire, examining overpriced tomatoes and debating dinner plans, when I saw Jessica. She looked awful. Not in a superficial way. She was still objectively beautiful, but in a way that suggested something fundamental had cracked. Her clothes didn't quite fit. Her hair needed washing. Her eyes had a hollow quality that made me think of abandoned buildings. She saw me and froze. Claire noticed my expression. "What's wrong?" "My ex is here." "The one who proposed to you at the bar?" "That's the one." "Do you want to leave?" I thought about it. Thought about running, about avoiding the confrontation, about protecting the fragile new thing Claire and I were building, but I was tired of running. "No," I said. "Let's just keep shopping." We moved to the next stall. Behind us, I could feel Jessica following at a distance, working up the courage to approach. It took 3 more stalls before she did. "Jake." I turned. Claire was by my side, holding a basket of strawberries. "Hi, Jessica." "Hi." Her eyes flicked to Claire, then back to me. "Can we talk?" "We don't have anything to talk about." "Please, just 5 minutes, alone." Claire squeezed my arm. "I'll be over looking at the flowers. Take your time." She walked away, leaving me facing Jessica in the middle of the farmer's market. "You look happy," Jessica said. "I am." "Is that your girlfriend?" "That's Claire." "That's not an answer." "It's the answer you're getting." She wrapped her arms around herself despite the warmth of the day. "I've been going to therapy 3 times a week, working through everything that happened, everything I did wrong. My therapist says I have attachment issues, that I push away the people I care about most because I'm afraid of being vulnerable." "That's good. I'm glad you're working on yourself. I'm doing it for you. Don't do it for yourself. I want to be better, for us. There is no us, Jessica." "There could be." I shook my head. "No, there couldn't. That ship sailed when you laughed at Meridian. It's not coming back." "Because of her?" She gestured toward where Claire was examining sunflowers. "Because you've moved on?" "Because of me. Because I finally understand what I deserve. And it's not someone who only wanted me after I was gone." "That's not fair. I wanted you. I couldn't see it. My father, my family, the expectations." "I know. Your father told me. He came to my office." She paled. "He did?" "Tried to explain everything. Took responsibility for poisoning you against me. It was very noble. It was also irrelevant." "It's not irrelevant. He's the reason You're the reason you did what you did. Not him. You. You could have chosen differently at any point. You didn't. And now you want me to forget that because you're sorry and you've done some therapy and you finally realized what you lost. But it doesn't work that way." Tears were streaming down her face now. "So what? You just hate me? That's it?" "I don't hate you. I don't feel anything for you. That's what you don't understand. You're not the villain in my story anymore. You're just someone I used to know who taught me an important lesson." "And what lesson was that?" "That I deserve someone who knows my value from the start, not someone who has to lose me to figure it out." I started to walk away. She grabbed my arm. "Jake, Please. I'm begging you. I'll do anything. I'll go to your family events. I'll move wherever you want. I'll give up everything. I don't want you to give up everything. I don't want anything from you. Then why did you come talk to me? Why not just ignore me like you've been doing? Because I wanted you to see me happy. I wanted you to see what you gave up. Not to hurt you, but to show you that life goes on. My life went on, and it's better without you in it. I pulled my arm free and walked toward Claire. Behind me, I heard Jessica say, I love you. I didn't stop, didn't turn around, just kept walking. Claire saw my face and linked her arm through mine. You okay? I will be. We bought our produce and left the market. As we walked back to my car, I didn't look back. Not once. The next 2 months were the quietest I'd had in a year. Jessica stopped calling, stopped sending gifts, stopped showing up places. Amanda told me she'd moved back in with her parents, that she'd taken a job in a different city, that she was getting help. I hoped that was true. Despite everything, I didn't wish her harm. I just wished her gone. Claire and I kept seeing each other. By July, I'd met her parents. By August, I had a drawer at her apartment. By September, we were talking about moving in together. One night, lying in her bed while she slept beside me, I thought about Meridian, about that velvet box, about the life I'd imagined and how completely wrong I'd been, and I realized I wasn't angry anymore, wasn't hurt, wasn't anything but grateful. Grateful that Jessica had showed me the truth before we'd gotten married, before we'd bought a house or had kids or intertwined our lives in ways that couldn't be easily untangled. Grateful that I'd had the strength to close that box and walk away. Grateful that I'd stuck to my decision even when she'd tried every way possible to change my mind. In a strange way, Jessica had given me the greatest gift she could have given me, clarity. A year after Meridian, I was back at that parking garage 3 blocks away. Claire and I had just finished dinner at a different restaurant, cheaper, louder, the kind of place where they gave you too much food and didn't care if you stayed for hours. We were walking back to the car, her hand in mine, talking about nothing important. As we passed the corner where Jessica had confronted me that first night, Claire said, Is this where it happened? The proposal? Close. The restaurant's around the corner. Do you ever think about going back, like to reclaim the space or something? No, it's just a building. She's just a person. Neither of them have any power over me anymore. Good. She squeezed my hand. Because I really like what we have, and I'd hate to compete with a ghost. You're not competing with anyone. We reached the car. As I unlocked it, I saw someone sitting on the concrete barrier across the street. Just a silhouette, but something about the posture was familiar. Jessica. She wasn't looking at me. She was just sitting there, staring at nothing, her shoulders hunched against the October chill. Claire noticed my hesitation. Is that her? Yeah. Do you want to? No. I opened the car door. Claire got in. I walked around to the driver's side, and as I did, Jessica looked up. Our eyes met across the distance. She didn't wave, didn't call out, didn't move at all. Just looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Resignation, maybe, or acceptance, or just exhaustion. I got in the car and started the engine. Are you okay? Claire asked. I'm perfect, I said, and I meant it. I drove past Jessica without slowing down. In the rearview mirror, I saw her still sitting there, getting smaller and smaller until she disappeared completely. The wedding was small, just family and close friends at a vineyard outside the city. Claire wore a simple white dress and wildflowers in her hair. I wore a suit that fit properly because she'd insisted on taking me to a real tailor. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, there was only silence. Good silence. The kind that means everyone present is genuinely happy for you. When I kissed my wife, I heard cheering. David's voice was the loudest. At the reception, Mom pulled me aside. I'm proud of you, honey, for everything, for knowing what you deserved and not settling for less. Thanks, Mom. And I'm sorry for suggesting you should give Jessica another chance. I didn't understand what she'd really done to you. It's okay. You were trying to help. Still, you were right to walk away, and you were right to stay away. She hugged me, and I hugged her back, and when I opened my eyes, I saw Claire across the room, laughing at something David was saying, completely at ease in her own skin, comfortable with who she was and who we were together. No games, no hidden agendas, no wondering where I stood. Just clarity. Later that night, after the last guests had left and we were alone in the honeymoon suite, Claire said, I have something to tell you. What? Amanda called me last week. She said Jessica wanted her to give you a message. My stomach tightened. What message? That she was happy for you, that she hopes you have a good life, and that she's sorry for everything. I was quiet for a moment. Then, and nothing. That was it. She just wanted you to know. Okay. Okay? That's all? What do you want me to say? I don't know. I thought you'd have more of a reaction. I don't. She's part of my past. You're my present and my future. She gets to be sorry. I get to be happy. That seems fair. Claire kissed me. I love you. I love you too. Outside, rain started falling against the windows. Inside, we were warm and dry and together. And if somewhere in the city Jessica was awake and thinking about what might have been, that was her burden to carry. Not mine, not anymore. 3 years later, Claire gave birth to our daughter. We named her Emma. She had her mother's eyes and my stubborn streak and absolutely no patience for anything. 5 years after that, we bought a house in the suburbs with a yard for Emma and the dog we'd adopted. It needed work, the roof leaked, the basement flooded every spring, but it was ours. 7 years after Meridian, I got promoted to senior adjuster. It wasn't glamorous, it would never make me rich, but I was good at it, and I liked the work, and that was enough. I never saw Jessica again. Amanda told me she'd married someone eventually. A lawyer, I think, or maybe a banker. It didn't matter. She'd become a character in a story I sometimes told at parties when the conversation turned to close calls and dodged projectiles. I almost married someone who thought I wasn't good enough, I'd say, and people would wince or laugh or offer their own similar stories. And I'd go home to Claire and Emma and our leaky house and our neurotic dog, and I'd think about that night at Meridian, about closing that velvet box and walking away. Best decision I ever made. Not because it led to revenge, not because it taught Jessica some kind of lesson, but because it taught me one. Know your worth. Never accept less. And when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Those lessons were worth more than any ring. The call came on a Tuesday morning in November, almost 18 months after the wedding. I was at my desk reviewing a commercial property claim when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Jake Cooper. Mr. Cooper, this is Patricia Winters. I'm an attorney with Morrison & Associates. I'm calling regarding Jessica Bennett. My hand tightened on the phone. I don't want anything to do with Jessica. I understand, and I apologize for the intrusion, but this is a legal matter that requires your attention. Jessica has filed a civil suit against you for emotional distress and intentional infliction of emotional harm. The words didn't make sense at first. She's suing me? Yes. She claims that your public rejection of her proposal and your subsequent refusal to reconcile caused her severe psychological damage, resulting in loss of employment, social standing, and mental health complications. She's seeking compensatory damages in the amount of $200,000. I sat back in my chair. You're joking. I'm afraid not. You'll be served with papers within the next few days. I'd strongly recommend you obtain legal representation. After she hung up, I sat staring at my computer screen without seeing it. Sarah walked past, noticed my expression, and stopped. Jake, you look like you've seen a ghost. Worse, I said. I'm being sued. David insisted on buying me a drink after work. We went to O'Malley's. Where else? And I told him everything while he listened with increasing disbelief. That's insane, he said finally. You can't sue someone for not wanting to date you. Apparently you can try. But you'll win. Obviously you'll win. No judge is going to. I don't know what's going to happen. I need a lawyer. I need to figure out how much this is going to cost. I need to tell Claire. That last part scared me most. Claire and I had built something solid, something real. But this would drag Jessica back into our lives in the most invasive way possible. Court dates, depositions, legal bills, all because I'd had the audacity to walk away from someone who didn't value me. Claire took it better than I expected. We'll handle it, she said that night, after I'd explained everything. We'll get a lawyer, we'll fight it, and we'll win. She's desperate and she's grasping at straws. What if we don't win? What if some judge decides that I was cruel or... Jake! She took my hands. You weren't cruel. You were honest. You protected yourself. That's not a crime, and it's not going to become one just because she wants it to be. I wished I had her certainty. The lawyer I hired was named Robert Pacheco. He was in his 50s, with gray hair and a calm demeanor that suggested he'd seen everything twice. His office was cluttered but organized, every surface covered with files and legal books. This is frivolous, he said, after reading through the complaint Jessica's lawyer had filed. Completely frivolous. Emotional distress requires proof of outrageous conduct. Rejecting a marriage proposal, even publicly, doesn't meet that standard. So we can get it dismissed? Probably. But it's going to take time and money. The filing itself suggests she has a lawyer who's either incompetent or being paid very well to pursue a case they know won't succeed. Why would she do this? Pacheco leaned back in his chair. In my experience, either she genuinely believes she has a case, which suggests she's not thinking clearly, or this is a form of continued harassment, a way to force you back into her life, even if it's just through legal proceedings. Can we countersue for harassment or something? We could, but that extends the process, increases costs, and keeps you entangled with her even longer. Sometimes the smart play is to get the case dismissed as quickly as possible and move on. I agreed to let him file a motion to dismiss. The hearing was scheduled for January. The next 2 months were tense. Every time my phone rang, I tensed. Every piece of mail might be another legal document. Claire tried to keep things normal. We decorated for holidays, had friends over, went through our regular routines, but the lawsuit hung over everything like a storm cloud. Amanda called twice. I didn't answer. She left voicemail saying she had no idea Jessica was doing this, that she'd tried to talk her out of it, that Jessica wasn't herself anymore. I deleted both messages without finishing them. The deposition happened in December, in a conference room with beige walls and uncomfortable chairs. Jessica's lawyer was a sharp-faced woman named Diane Frost, who asked me variations of the same questions for 3 hours. Had I intended to humiliate Jessica at O'Malley's? No. Had I known my rejection would cause her emotional distress? I'd known it would hurt her feelings, yes. That's what rejection does. Had I considered the impact of my actions on her mental health? I'd considered that she'd told me I wasn't good enough to marry. Everything else flowed from that. Jessica wasn't present for my deposition, but I had to sit through hers the following week. Pacheco insisted I attend so I could understand what we were dealing with. She looked worse than she had at the farmer's market. Thinner still, with dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. She wore a conservative suit, and her hair was pulled back in a severe bun. When she spoke, her voice was soft, hesitant. She described our relationship as manipulative and controlling. Said I'd isolated her from her friends, made her dependent on me emotionally, then weaponized her vulnerability by proposing when she wasn't ready. He knew I had commitment issues, she said. He knew about my family dynamics, the pressure I was under, and he used that knowledge against me. When I didn't react the way he wanted, he punished me, made sure I knew I'd lost something valuable. And when I tried to fix it, tried to show him I'd changed, he rejected me over and over in increasingly public ways. Listening to her rewrite our history was surreal. The woman describing a toxic relationship bore no resemblance to what we'd actually had. Or maybe it did, from her perspective. Maybe she genuinely believed this version of events. During a break, Pacheco pulled me aside. "She's not well," he said quietly. "Mentally, I mean. I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm saying it as an observation from someone who's been doing this for 30 years. Her lawyer knows it too. I think that's why they're pushing this case. They're hoping we'll settle just to make it go away rather than drag someone who's clearly struggling through a trial." "Are we going to settle?" "Not unless you want to, but be prepared for this to get uglier before it gets better." The motion to dismiss hearing was on a gray January morning. Claire came with me, her hand in mine as we walked up the courthouse steps. Jessica was already in the courtroom with her lawyer. She didn't look at me when we entered, just sat with her hands folded on the table, staring at nothing. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Henderson. She read through our motion with a neutral expression while Frost argued that the case had merit, that emotional distress claims didn't require physical harm, that my pattern of behavior constituted intentional cruelty. Pacheco responded calmly, methodically dismantling each argument. He presented the timeline: Jessica's initial rejection, her pursuit of another relationship, her subsequent attempts to reconcile only after that relationship failed. "What we have here, Your Honor, is a woman who made a choice and regretted it. That's unfortunate, but it's not actionable. Mr. Cooper had no obligation to accept her changed mind. His refusal to do so, even publicly, does not constitute outrageous conduct by any legal standard." Judge Henderson looked at Jessica. "Ms. Bennett, do you understand what this motion is asking for?" Jessica stood. "Yes, Your Honor." "And you still want to proceed with this case?" "I do." "Why?" The question hung in the air. Frost started to object, but the judge waved her off. "I'm asking Ms. Bennett directly. Why are you pursuing this case?" Jessica's hands were shaking. "Because he hurt me. Because he made me feel like nothing. Because when I tried to fix things, he humiliated me in front of everyone, and I need him to understand what that did to me." "So this is about making him understand? About revenge?" It's about justice. Judge Henderson was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Motion granted. Case dismissed. Ms. Bennett, I'm going to say something off the record, though it will appear in the transcript. You need help, professional help, not a lawsuit. What you've described here today is painful, yes, but it's not illegal. People have the right to end relationships. They have the right to refuse reconciliation. And they have the right to move on with their lives. I strongly encourage you to speak with a mental health professional rather than pursuing further legal action." Frost tried one more time. "Your Honor, if we could just... My decision is final. Court is adjourned." The gavel came down. I felt Claire's hand squeeze mine, felt the tension that had been coiled in my chest for months finally release. Jessica sat down slowly, like her strings had been cut. Frost was speaking to her in urgent whispers, but Jessica just shook her head. As we left the courtroom, I heard Jessica say, "I'm sorry." I didn't know if she was talking to her lawyer or to me. I didn't stop to find out. The legal bills came to $8,000. Money we'd been saving for a down payment on a new car, now gone because Jessica couldn't accept reality. "Worth every penny," Claire said when Pacheco sent us the final invoice. "If it means she's finally out of our lives for good." I wanted to believe that. But something about the look on Jessica's face in that courtroom haunted me. Not because I felt guilty, I didn't, but because I recognized it. The look of someone who'd built their entire identity around something and watched it crumble. 2 weeks after the hearing, I got an email from Dr. Bennett. "Mr. Cooper, I won't insult you by asking for anything or trying to justify what Jessica did. I'm writing only to inform you that she's entered an inpatient treatment facility. She'll be there for at least 90 days, possibly longer. I take full responsibility for my role in this situation. I pushed her toward a life she didn't want, values she didn't hold, and a worldview that left no room for genuine happiness. When she found that happiness with you and I convinced her to throw it away, I set in motion everything that followed. You owe us nothing. Not forgiveness, not understanding, not even acknowledgement of this email. But I wanted you to know that she's getting help, real help, and that I'm trying to do the same. I hope you and your wife have a good life. Mitchell Bennett. I read it 3 times, then showed it to Claire. How do you feel? She asked. I don't know. Glad she's getting help, I guess. Sad that it took this long. Angry that I had to go through all of this because she couldn't handle rejection. All of those are fair. Am I supposed to respond? Do you want to? I thought about it. Really thought about it. About Dr. Bennett sitting in his probably immaculate home office, writing that email, taking responsibility too late for it to matter. About Jessica in some facility somewhere, hopefully learning to be okay with herself. No, I said finally. I don't want to respond. I want to close this chapter and never open it again. So I archived the email and never replied. Spring came again. Emma turned 3 and started asking questions about everything. Why is the sky blue? Where do clouds come from? Why can't dogs talk? Claire and I took turns answering, often making up ridiculous explanations that made her giggle. The house stopped leaking. We'd finally saved enough to fix the roof properly. The dog stopped eating shoes. Work was steady, if not exciting. Life was normal in the best possible way. Then one Saturday in April, I was at the hardware store trying to find the right-sized drill bit when I heard someone say my name. I turned. Trevor Chen stood 3 feet away, looking uncomfortable. Jake, hi. I wasn't sure if you'd remember me. I remember. He shifted his weight. I'm not stalking you or anything. I actually live in this neighborhood now. Moved here 6 months ago. Okay. I wanted to say something, if you have a minute. Every instinct told me to walk away, but curiosity won. 1 minute. I know about the lawsuit, about everything that happened after, and I wanted you to know that I testified for you. Well, I gave a deposition. Jessica's lawyer tried to make it seem like you'd treated her badly, and I told them that wasn't true, that you'd been decent to her, even kind, and that she was the one who'd messed things up. I hadn't known that. Pacheco hadn't mentioned it. Why? Because it was the truth, and because... He ran a hand through his hair. She did the same thing to me. Not exactly the same, but close enough. We dated for 4 months after you broke up with her. She kept talking about you, comparing me to you. When I finally told her I couldn't be someone's second choice, she lost it. Started showing up at my apartment, calling my family, making scenes at my work. I had to get a restraining order. I'm sorry you went through that. I'm sorry you went through it first. And I'm sorry I didn't see it coming. That night at the gym, when I talked to you in the locker room, I thought you were just bitter about losing her. I didn't understand that you were the smart one who got out before things got worse. They got pretty bad anyway. But you survived. You're married, right? I saw the ring. Yeah, 3 years in April. Good. That's good. He smiled, and it seemed genuine. I hope she treats you better than Jessica did. She does. Infinitely better. Then you won. In the way that matters. He extended his hand. Good luck, Jake. I shook it. You too, Trevor. He walked away, and I watched him go, thinking about parallel lives and dodged futures. Trevor and I were probably more alike than I'd wanted to admit that night at the gym. Both of us had been drawn to Jessica's shine, her confidence, her beauty. Both of us had learned too late that shine can be reflective, that sometimes what looks like light is just surface gleam with nothing underneath. Summer arrived with a heat wave that made the city feel like an oven. Claire and I took Emma to the beach most weekends, building sandcastles and teaching her to be comfortable in the waves. She was fearless in the water, diving under without hesitation, emerging with a huge grin. She gets that from you, Claire said, watching Emma splash around. The fearlessness. I'm not fearless. You are when it matters, when you need to protect yourself or the people you love. That takes a special kind of courage. I thought about Meridian, about O'Malley's, about the courtroom. Maybe she was right. In August, Amanda called again. This time I answered. Jake, thank God. I wasn't sure you'd pick up. What do you want, Amanda? To apologize. For everything. For passing information between you and Jessica. For trying to get you to reconsider. For not seeing how unhealthy she'd become. I should have been a better friend to both of you. You were trying to help. I was trying to fix something that wasn't mine to fix. And I made everything worse. I know that now. I'm in therapy myself, working through my own tendency to mediate and enable, and... She stopped. I'm rambling. The point is, I'm sorry. And I wanted you to know that Jessica's doing better. She's out of the facility. She's living with her parents, working part-time, taking things slowly. She asked me to tell you that she's sorry too. Not that she expects forgiveness, just that she's sorry for everything. Okay. That's all? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Amanda? I'm glad she's better. I genuinely am. But that doesn't change anything between us. There is no us to change. I know. She knows too. She's not trying to get you back. She's just trying to make amends where she can. Then tell her the amends are acknowledged, and tell her to keep getting help, and tell her that I hope she finds whatever it is she's looking for, but tell her to find it somewhere far away from me and my family. I will, and Jake, for what it's worth, Claire's lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have her. After we hung up, I sat in the backyard while Emma played with the dog. Claire came out with 2 beers, handed me one, and sat down. Amanda? Yeah, Jessica's out of treatment, doing better. Wanted me to know she's sorry. How do you feel about that? The same way I felt about her father's email. Glad she's getting better, not interested in being part of that process. Claire clinked her bottle against mine. To moving forward. To moving forward. October came around again. 3 years since Meridian. The anniversary passed without comment from either Claire or me. It was just another day, notable only because Emma started preschool and cried when we dropped her off. She'll be fine, the teacher assured us. They always are. Walking back to the car, Claire said, Do you ever think about what would have happened if you'd said yes? If you'd taken Jessica back at some point? No, not anymore. Not even curious? I know what would have happened. I'd have spent the rest of my life wondering when the other shoe would drop. Wondering if she really wanted me or just wanted to not be alone. Wondering if I was enough or just enough for now. You're more than enough, Claire said. In case you were wondering. I wasn't, but thank you. That night, after Emma was in bed, I did something I hadn't done in years. I opened my laptop and searched for Jessica's name. I wasn't proud of it. It was curiosity. I wanted to know if Amanda had been right, if Jessica had actually found peace. Her social media was still there, but it was different. No luxury, no performance. Just coffee, books, trails, a golden retriever. The captions felt quieter, more honest. Her last post was a simple, smiling selfie. Year of healing. Miles to go, but grateful for progress. Good for her, I thought, and meant it. I closed the laptop and went to bed beside Claire, listening to her breathe, thinking how some people enter your life like a hurricane and leave like a whisper. Jessica had been my hurricane. Claire was my calm. The years passed. Emma grew. We bought a bigger house. Claire got promoted. I moved up. The dog aged, and we adopted a cat. Life unfolded in small, ordinary moments. I thought about Jessica sometimes, not with pain, just like an old healed injury, a reminder of something that once happened. Then one day, Emma was 7, so 5 years after the courthouse. I was having lunch with David when he said, "Did you hear? Jessica got married." I paused mid-bite. "How do you know that?" "Amanda posted about it. She was a bridesmaid. Looked like a small wedding. Outdoor ceremony." "Good for her? You really mean that, don't you?" "Yeah, I do. She needed to find someone who could handle her, and apparently she did. I hope she's happy. I hope she's healthy. I hope she learned something from everything that happened. You're a better man than me." I'm just tired of carrying anger around. It gets heavy after a while. That night, I told Claire about it. "How do you feel?" she asked. Always her first question. Relieved, I think, like the last little thread connecting us finally got cut. She's moved on. I moved on years ago. Now it's official. "You never really talked about what it was like. The whole experience. You told me the facts, but never how it felt." I thought about how to answer. It felt like falling downstairs. Not just one fall, but multiple times. Every time I thought I'd hit the bottom, there was another step. The proposal rejection, the social media campaign, her father showing up, the lawsuit. Each one was its own impact. And by the time it was over, I was bruised in ways I didn't even know I could be bruised. But you got back up. I got back up. And I learned to check for stairs before I started walking. She smiled. Meaning? Meaning I learned what red flags look like. What it feels like when someone values you versus when they value what you can do for them. I learned that words without actions are just noise. And I learned that walking away from someone who diminishes you isn't cruelty. It's self-preservation. Those are good lessons. Expensive lessons. But yeah, good ones. Chapter 21. Emma asked about it once when she was 9. We were driving home from soccer practice and a song came on the radio, something about lost love and second chances. Out of nowhere, she said, "Dad, were you married before Mom?" "No, why?" "Grandma said something about a woman who broke your heart before you met Mom. I was just wondering." I glanced at Claire, who was in the passenger seat trying not to smile. "I dated someone before your mom, yes? It didn't work out." "Why not?" "Because she didn't see me the way your mom does. She saw parts of me, pieces that she liked, but not all of me. And you can't build a life with someone who only loves pieces of you." "That's sad." "It was. But it led me to your mom, which led to you. So it worked out the way it was supposed to." "Do you think the lady is happy now?" "I hope so." "Do you ever miss her?" The question surprised me. "No, I don't miss her. But I learned a lot from knowing her. Sometimes people come into our lives to teach us things, even if they don't stay." "What did she teach you?" "That I deserve someone who chooses me every day. Not just on good days or convenient days, every day, the way your mom does." Emma thought about this. "Mom's pretty great." "Yes, she is." In the rearview mirror, I saw Emma smile and turn back to looking out the window, and I realized that was probably the last time I'd need to explain Jessica to anyone. The story was complete, the lesson learned, the chapter closed. 10 years after Meridian. Emma was 12, starting middle school. I got a package at work. There was no return address, just my name and office location written in careful handwriting. Inside was a book, a first edition of something I'd mentioned wanting years ago, during one of those early conversations with Jessica when we were still figuring each other out. There was a note tucked inside the front cover. "Jake, I know I'm not supposed to contact you. I know you've built a life that doesn't include me, and you have every right to keep it that way. But I found this and remembered you mentioning it once, and I wanted you to have it. Not because I want anything from you, not because I'm trying to reopen anything, just because some part of me still remembers the good parts, before I ruined everything, and wants you to know that those memories are real, even if everything after them was broken. I'm happy now, really happy. My husband's name is David. Funny coincidence, right? And he's patient and kind and everything I didn't know I needed. We have a daughter. She's 4. Her name is Emma. Another funny coincidence. I'm not the person I was when we were together. Therapy, medication, a lot of hard work. I've changed. I hope I've become someone better. Someone who could have appreciated you if I'd met you now instead of then. But I didn't meet you now. I met you then, and I hurt you, and I'm sorry. I'll always be sorry. I hope your life is everything you deserved. I hope you're surrounded by people who see your value. I hope you know that despite everything, you made a difference in my life. You showed me what it looked like when someone truly cared about me, and even though I rejected it at the time, That image stayed with me, became something I could work toward. Thank you for that. And I'm sorry it took so long to say it properly. Jessica, I read the note twice. Then I put it back in the book and put the book in my desk drawer. David walked by and saw my expression. Everything okay? Yeah, just something from the past. Good past or bad past? Both. Neither, just past. That night, I showed Claire the book and the note. She read it carefully, then handed it back. What are you going to do? Nothing. She doesn't want a response. She just wanted to say what she needed to say. And now she has. It's done. Are you going to keep the book? I looked at it. First edition, pristine condition, probably worth a decent amount. A thoughtful gift from someone who'd once thought I wasn't worth thoughtful gifts. Yeah, I said. I'll keep it, but not because of her. Because I actually do want to read it. The gift doesn't erase the past, but it also doesn't have to be connected to it. It's just a book. You're more generous than I would be. I'm not being generous. I'm just done being angry. Anger is exhausting, and she's not worth the energy anymore. I put the book on our shelf between other first editions I'd collected over the years. It fit right in, just another book among many. The real ending came on a Tuesday afternoon 3 months later. I was leaving work when I saw her standing by my car. Not Jessica, Amanda. Before you leave or call security, I need to tell you something, she said. Amanda. Jessica passed away last week. I thought you should know. The words hit me like cold water. What happened? Car crash. Some guy ran a red light. She was pronounced at the scene. Her husband and daughter survived, but... Amanda's eyes were red. I know you don't owe her anything. I know she hurt you, but I thought you'd want to know. And I thought you might want to know that she was really happy at the end. She'd become someone different, someone better. All the things she wrote in that note she sent you were true. I never responded to that note. She didn't expect you to. She just wanted you to know that she'd changed, that the person who hurt you wasn't who she became. Amanda wiped her eyes. The funeral's on Friday. I'm not asking you to come, just telling you in case you wanted the option. She walked away before I could respond. I sat in my car for 10 minutes trying to process. Jessica was gone. The woman who'd laughed at my proposal, who'd sued me for emotional distress, who'd sent me a book with an apology 10 years late, she no longer existed in the world. I felt strange. Not sad, not relieved, just distant. When I got home, Claire listened quietly as I told her everything. She said I could go to the funeral or not, and either choice would be right. She'd support me either way. I thought about Jessica as she was at different moments of our past and about something I'd learned long ago. Sometimes the best way to honor the past is to let it stay there. I didn't go to the funeral. Instead, Claire and I took a day off, dropped Emma at school, and drove to the coast. We walked along the beach, ate at a simple place by the water, and just existed together. I realized I didn't want revenge or suffering for Jessica. Only peace. And it seemed she'd found it. That evening back home, we sat on the porch watching the sky fade. I thanked Claire for choosing me, for building this life with me. She said it wasn't work, it was just us. Later, I took the book Jessica once sent me, read the inscription again, and put it back. It was just a book. She was just a person. And I was someone who'd learned a hard lesson, and built something better. That was enough.